Salted.
Okay, we are all good. So good evening, everyone. My name is Amanda. I'm the Director of Operations and Culinary Medicine here at Kellen Foundation.
I'm Jen. I am a dietetic intern working with Kellen Foundation right now. I go to school at Cedar Crest, so I'm finishing up my rotation with the lovely folk here. So this is my final project, incorporate some nutrition education and do a live cooking demo, since cooking is one of the most important parts of eating healthy.
So we are excited that all of you get to be here with us tonight. Hopefully you were able to check out the email and do the pre-survey, as well as look at the educational videos. If you weren't able to look at all the educational videos before, feel free to do that afterwards. They have some really good educational tips and tricks in there.
Yeah,
it's good to look at. So we're gonna get started. Who pre-cooked anything or pre-sliced anything Rachel Ray style? Some of us did it. Awesome. So if you didn't do all of it, or you did none of it, or some of it, we will work with you along the way. So we're going to get started on our base. So our base is the brown rice, and then cilantro, lime juice, and a little bit of salt if you so choose. I have my brown rice cooking in the background, but it's a 2-to-1 ratio. So if you didn't pre-cook it, it's 1.5 cups of brown rice dry, and then 3 cups of water. Jen, did you want to say anything about servings of whole grains or how much in a day they're trying to look? Because whole grains are awesome.
Yes, so whole grains and just carbohydrates in general, but obviously we want to focus on whole grains because they have a lot more vitamins and minerals than other grains would. They're a super important part of what we need as humans. So I know a lot of diets go around where we cut out carbohydrates, and really that's not something we want to do, because carbohydrates are our #1 source of energy. Really, we want about maybe almost 50% of our food coming from carbohydrates, and luckily fruits and vegetables are all carbohydrates. So we love fruits and vegetables, so definitely include those too.
So while our brown rice is cooking, we're gonna attack the cilantro and the lime juice. So a fun trick I like to say, if you have just limes at home, it's easier if you have lime juice, but it often doesn't taste as fresh or yummy. A lot of people feel like you have to use a juicer to get all the juice out. You can actually just stick a fork in it or a spoon and like skewer it, and then twist it to make your own little juicer, and it comes out within literally 2 seconds. So I've seen people accidentally squirt juice in their eye, but never this way. So always put the lime or lemon out and then twist. And then we also have the cilantro that we're going to be adding in. Does anybody have the aversion to cilantro here? Okay, so if you do not add it in. Annie, if you want to add any of the additional spices to add extra flavor during this meal, you're more than welcome to. For those of you that got the boxes, all of your spices are in these little cups, nicely labeled, but we included extra spices that's additional off of what the recipe said, so you can kind of fit it to whatever taste you're looking for. So with the cilantro, I'm just gonna slice off as much or as little as your preference is. A lot. Jen wants a lot. What's great about fresh herbs in cooking is it can add a really great punch to your food. So instead of relying a lot on like additional salt or fat or sugar, the fresh herbs helps to add more flavor without all the extra calories or things that we don't necessarily want a lot of. If you don't have fresh, you can always use dried. Just remember, fresh to dried ratio. If you ever see this on a recipe, Chef Trevor does this every once in a while. If it's fresh and you're looking for dry, reduce it by 1/3. So if you're doing dried cilantro, instead of the 2 tablespoons, do like a teaspoon to a teaspoon and a half. And then I always do a sprinkle of salt into my base. You do not have to. If you're trying to do less salt, you can add more of the acid, more of the lime, or I always do garlic or onion. So then you have this lovely little mixture in a bowl of lime juice, cilantro, as we are waiting for our brown rice to be cooked. which Rachel Ray style, it's done.
Boom.
So I don't know if people can see. I'm gonna hold it up a little bit. When you or Jen can look into it, when your rice is about to be done, typically it has these little pockets in it. And then in your directions, it says cover it up. That'll help get all the extra moisture to be absorbed and then to help with fluffing it at the end. So it's okay.
Okay, so
Go ahead. Oh, it was
I
you. So while our brown rice is finishing up, we are going to tackle the corn. Okay, so Jen, I'm gonna have you put this all together. We use frozen corn in all of our boxes because there is no fresh corn. I'll let you pour it in. There's no fresh corn right now. I wish there was. Is there any fresh corn in California? I know Chris's mom may be able to have fresh corn.
oh,
It's okay. Megan Grega says we should put this down, so it's okay. I got it. Step on my little box thing. Everybody gets the cutting board.
There you go.
oh, we lost you.
Can you hear me now, Annie?
Yeah, now we're good. Yeah, looks good. Sounds good.
So we have corn, and then we have an arrangement of spices. So Jen, you want to read off the recipe, how much of each is supposed to go in for the roasted corn?
Yes. So for the corn and the spices, we're pretty much doing a teaspoon of everything but the salt. So we have garlic powder, onion powder, and paprika.
And not that little one.
Yeah, and salt if you would like to add it. So a teaspoon of each of the onion powder, garlic, and paprika.
So I add this on top of my power bowls and burritos and stuff very regularly, but this roasted corn is also really good on top of salads during the summer. It's awesome, really fresh. You can do the same recipe on full corn instead of just corn kernels. So in our household, we take full corn on the cobs, throw them on the grill, and then sprinkle this seasoning mixture on top afterwards. So then you get the extra smokiness, get the extra flavors, and then you're not necessarily having to douse it in butter and cheese like we learned in Pennsylvania Dutch cooking. So this is one of my favorites. Definitely adds a lot more flavor. And you can also do it just cold in a salsa. We're gonna roast it for extra texture so we have some crunch along with everything else. But if you just want to have this cold and not roasted, that's fine as well. Anybody have any questions about corn? Yes, Miss Annie.
Just an hour ago because I just wanted to get that done. It's really hot right now. I'm like, I don't want to be in this hot kitchen. And I almost ate the whole thing. So I'm glad.
I'm so you enjoyed it and you almost eat the whole thing. There you go. Thank you. And then the last little bit, optional extra virgin olive oil. So you can make this recipe without olive oil. You can do it, you can use this. You can do it with vegetable stock if you're trying to limit your added fats. When we cook here in Kellen Kitchens, if we ever use fat, we're either using extra virgin cold pressed olive oil or tahini. I'm going to throw this over to Dr. Megan Grega. Hello. Hi. To be here in the Kelly kitchen. Do you mind just giving a little snippet about why extra virgin cold pressed olive oil is better than other processed foods?
Oh, one of my favorite topics. So whenever we talk about fat, there's multiple different types of fats. No trans fats, those are the no. We stay away from the trans fats because those are really bad for your heart as far as, and also a lot of inflammation things. Then there's saturated fat, which is mostly found in animal products like meat and cheese and dairy stuff, but also in coconut oil. So that is another one that seems to raise our cholesterol, raise our LDL, which is the things that we don't like as far as cardiovascular disease. So try to limit saturated fat. Then we have our friend extra virgin olive oil, which is mostly mono and polyunsaturated fat. It does have a little bit saturated, but mostly the good stuff. And it has a lot of antioxidants and polyphenols, which is really good. So whenever we think about fats, no matter where the fat comes from, it's very calorie dense. So it's going to give you more calories. So you want to kind of limit it so that you're not overdoing it from a calorie standpoint. But we know that we all need some healthy fats, and where the healthy fats come from are olives, avocados, walnuts, so nuts and seeds. Chef Amanda talked about tahini. And if you're going to cook with a fat, using something that comes from a plant source, except for coconut oil and palm oil, that's another one. That is a great way to do it. So whenever we cook, we use if we're going to use fat, we use extra virgin cold pressed olive oil, because the extra virgin cold pressed is the first kind of amount of oil that comes out of the olive. They didn't use any chemicals to get it out of there. So it has the most antioxidants and will be the most health promoting.
Fabulous.
There you go.
Thank you.
That's what
Yeah.
I just want to point out before we throw our corn in the oven, for those of you that bought the box, this is 2 tablespoons of olive oil. And we put it in this small container because we wanted you to be aware that sometimes when we use our olive oil containers and we glug, glug, glug into the pan, you don't realize how much you're actually using, which can add to a lot more calories and fat than you were expecting from a very healthy meal. Like Dr. Megan said, you for sure need healthy fats, but we wanted to show you that this much is more than enough to split between your corn and your veggies. You may not even use all of it, and it's a serving of 4. So just for you guys to know. So I'm throwing the corn in the oven, and I'm gonna leave it in there as I throw my recipe on the corn for about 8 to 10 minutes until the corn starts to turn crispy and brown. You're welcome to take it out at whatever crispy level that you want. If you have a convection oven, it'll probably go a bit quicker. Hey Jen, you have anything else to say about corn?
One thing with the frozen corn too, this is mentioned in the videos if you watched it, but frozen vegetables and fruits are an awesome way to save a little bit of money on your grocery trips, if cost is an issue at all, and it still has all the same nutrients that fresh fruit and vegetables would, but you can keep it for a little bit longer, so you don't have to worry about wasting things if you are the only one eating the food and you don't want things to go bad too. So frozen fruits and veggies are a good way to go.
Okay, my lovely humans, I'm gonna dump my lime juice and cilantro into my rice because it has chillaxed enough that I feel we have gotten to the fluffy state. And then I'm going to use this same bowl in a little bit to make my Pico de Gallo because I don't like washing a lot of dishes. So we're gonna use this to the side. We are going to go to our sauteed vegetables. So I'm just gonna hold up some of these. So we have our different colored peppers, and we also have our tomatoes and jalapeno for pico, but then I have the onion here. You are welcome to use as much onion or as little onion as you so choose. Typically, we do the half onion for the Pico de Gallo and then 1.5 for the sauteed veggies. If you are not good with a lot of raw onion, some people have a hard time processing that. Just use a tiny bit for the pico and the rest with the sauteed veg. A little, go ahead, Amy. What's up?
Is there a difference between the digestion of like the green pepper as opposed to like the red or the yellow? I seem to like the red and yellow do better with them. Is that true?
In terms of digestion, is that what you said? No, in terms of digestion, there's no difference really. There's like slight differences in taste, so maybe that's why. But other than that, they process completely the same.
Annie, I agree. I prefer the colored peppers more. They seem to be sweeter. Like Jen said, slight difference in taste. So my opinion, whatever pepper you like to eat, you should definitely go and eat it. The green peppers are just harvested earlier, which is why that they don't have as much sweetness. So that may be it. So everyone can see me now. A little trick for cutting a pepper. There's 2 different ways. So I'm going to show you one way and then another way. So my favorite way is I cut off the top and then I just cut down. So then I have easy, flat things to work with. One, it just goes quicker than for me to slice into thinly sliced strips. I'm also curving my fingers. If any of you have ever been in Killing Kitchens with me, I don't like when people cut off their fingers. So a good knife trick is to curl your fingers on the board. So if for some reason your knife slips, you're catching your knuckle and not a finger. The other thing to use your knife with is to think of the tip of your knife as your fulcrum. So you're using it to rock back and forth instead of like chopping on the board like a murdering human. Okay. We don't want to murder our vegetables. We want to show them lots of love and care. The other way that you can go about this, if you feel more comfortable with the knife, you can cut slightly into it and then go around the core, like almost like you're peeling an apple in the old times of doing that. And then you actually get a single pepper strip. This is the other option. So this is a great option if you're actually like stuffing the peppers and you want to do it this way. You can also then easily slice it. I like it the other way. Jen, anything to say about peppers?
One thing with peppers too, when cutting, after watching my boyfriend cooking, I realized this is something that people may not know. The flesh side of the pepper is easier to cut down on. So when you're cutting, if you're not cutting on the flesh side, your knife may slip a little bit if it's not sharp enough. So if you use the flesh side, you can actually cut a little bit easier too.
Yes, peppers are a staple in my household to add tons of flavor to any and all dishes. We like grilling them, we like sauteing them. They're really easy to throw into salads. A little trick, we actually have these here in Kellen Kitchens. On Sunday, prep your veggies beforehand. Like even if you have no idea what you're gonna cook, if you have a bunch of veggies that you wanna try to utilize throughout the week, it's much easier to conceptualize when you get home from a 12-hour day, what you could cook quickly if your veggies are already prepped. So it's a really nice hack to, then you can easily grab. So we have our peppers and then we have our onions. I already have such nicely diced things. I'm just gonna add this. Does anybody cry when they cut onions? Anybody crying here? Okay. So I have a trick, and I don't know if it's a real life trick, but it works here in Kellen Kitchen. So I'm gonna say it's tested and proved, kind of. If you put your onions in the fridge, they will not make you cry as much. It's just a little trick. So you don't have to keep them there, but I often throw them in an hour before cooking. And then I'm not sitting here with like an ugly crying face like Kim Kardashian. I have just like slight tears. So another way that for the onion, please curl your fingers. Like Jen said, we don't need to lose any fingers at all. We like the fingers. So you can just curl your fingers and slice very thin. If you were gonna dice it, you could do patchwork back and forth, but those are the slices we're looking for. Anybody have any questions? Tim, I haven't heard from you. Do you still have all your fingers? We're waiting. Tim? Okay. He has. So we're gonna start sauteing all of our vegetables. I have a pretty large saute pan. A big thing you want to remember when sauteing your vegetables is if your pan is not big enough, you're gonna steam them if you put too many on top of each other. So our goal is to make the pan as hot as possible, add the olive oil in to heat up, and then add our veggies when it starts to sizzle. Because if we don't do that, you're just steaming them, and then what's the point of actually sauteing? So I'm gonna add the oil. Anything you'd like to add about like the spinach or anything like that?
Oh, fun fact about peppers, they actually have more vitamin C than an orange does. A lot of people don't know that. Yeah.
I like peppers better than oranges. Okay, so my olive oil is heating up. I'm going to be adding into the pan onions and peppers right now. Now, if you want garlic and you love garlic, you could also add fresh garlic to this. But I would suggest waiting about 3 to 4 minutes because garlic cooks a lot quicker than the rest of the veggies, and we don't want burnt garlic. It does not taste good, and it'll ruin a lot of the dish's actual flavor. So we'll see if it's hot enough yet. Not yet. Almost hot enough.
So I have a question about red onions.
Oh,
Can you answer
please.
for me?
Yes.
So I have heard that if you're eating red onions raw, if you put it into water for a little bit, it makes it less pungent.
Whoa,
Have you heard that?
I have not. Oh, there's my pickle, but it would make sense because these are filled with a lot of liquid. And if you put them in more water, it would make sense. But it would take some of the flavor out. My rule is red onions are a little sweeter, yellow onions are a little less sweet. So if you're going for a sweeter, smokier taste, definitely add red onions. Or add yellow onions and red onions.
All the
of it.
onions.
Alright, we'll add them in. That's what it's supposed to be. How is all the sauteing going on everyone's end? We are all good?
Nice and fizzly.
No houses have caught on fire? You're good? Okay. I hear the sizzling. Okay, so we are going to let that cook, but while that is cooking, we can add our spices in. So Jen, if you want to add all of our lovely spices, we are going to be adding cumin and chili powder, garlic powder, onion powder, paprika, and salt. If you are not big on spices, I would suggest toning down the chili powder, but none of these are inherently spicy, but sometimes chili powder has a bit more smokiness to it. Would you like to say anything about spices? Yay.
It's always so much fun to come over here, yes. So the thing that I love about spices is that they are the most antioxidant packed, like anti-inflammatory in small components, things that you can do on the entire planet. So we love our fruits and veggies, we love our whole grains, we love our beans, because all of those things give us fiber and amazing like vitamins and minerals, nutrients, everything. But spices give you so much antioxidant and anti-inflammatory in just these couple of sprinkles that you want to make sure that you use them. So things like turmeric and the chili powder, the cumin, the garlic and onion, all of this stuff. Cinnamon is another one. I know we're not using that today, but we could. And all of those things have been shown to really help decrease the inflammation in your body and give you some of the like kind of micronutrients that you don't always get in other foods. So unfortunately, Americans spend most of their kind of like flavor budget on things like sugar, salt, and fat. But if you can shift over to things like chili powder, cayenne, onion, garlic, turmeric, cinnamon, or all ginger's another great one. All of these different spices will give you a really, really good nutritional bang for your buck. They're not that expensive and they add a lot of flavor. So that is my infomercial. about spices.
So these can also play in again to what we were saying with limes and acid. So adding the extra flavor, like Dr. Megan was saying, you can just really punch in that flavor with extra use of spices, acids, and then different cooking methods. So if you notice, we're using the oven to roast the corn. We are sauteing our vegetables. We are making our rice, and then all of these different cooking methods will add more flavor. You could also, I'm a big person who loves grilling. This recipe works well on the grill. You would just make bigger cuts for all of your different veggies, but it would add more smokiness as well. Oh, you forgot the chili.
Not the chili.
Hey, everyone seems to be cooking well. It looks like it's going good. Dr. Gutierrez, how are you doing? Is life okay? No, nothing has exploded.
I think it's
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. So the thing that we have not talked about while our veggies are cooking is our beans. You can do a couple different things with your beans. You can either warm them up separately on the stove or in the microwave, or I often like to add them into my rice mixture as a whole big combination. So are you okay if I add it? We're sharing this, so we're to make sure everyone is good. Beans are my favorite thing in the entire world. They are chock full of fiber, they're chock full of protein, and they make you feel so full and satisfying. So I feel that if you're trying to shift more veggies into your diet, more of a plant slant, and shifting away from eating as much meat specifically, adding a lot of beans to your meal will leave you feeling completely satisfied. And they have a lot of good flavors too. Anything you want to say about beans?
We use canned beans for this, and something to note about canned beans or canned items in general is that sometimes they do come with added sodium in them. The sodium is used to preserve things and keep them on shelves longer. So if you do go with the canned route, it's always good to look for low sodium options or no salt added on the front. You can also read the nutrition labels, as we talked about in one of the videos, to cut down on some of that. And then also, if you are using canned, it's always a good idea to rinse them off before you start cooking with them, because that'll remove some of the sodium as well.
Okay. So my veggies are almost done. I'm gonna lift them up a little bit closer. The onions are translucent, okay? The peppers still have a little bit of bite to them. The spices are getting cooked off. And at this point, we are going to add the spinach. So all of you who got a kit have a container that looks like this of spinach. This is gonna wilt down to almost nothing. So you are welcome to chop this if you want. I just added in full. One thing to remember with spinach is that it's a powerhouse of vitamins and minerals, but it also, if you don't want to get it fresh, like what we had, I buy bulk bags of frozen spinach, same type of nutrition content like Jen was saying with other veggies, but it's a lot cheaper. So if you, a 16-ounce thing around here at this point is like $4 of fresh. And if you're going to be cooking it, you might as well get the spinach that's frozen. I think it's 99 cents a pound, which is a lot more bang for your buck because it's a pound of already slightly cooked spinach.
Yeah. That's really great to use in soups too, especially I found just because of cooking purposes, it's already pretty much wilted. So makes cooking easier for soups.
Also makes it easier to hide.
Yeah.
Hide spinach in most things. Go ahead, Dr. Megan.
I couldn't help it. I had to come do the spinach sponsored, like, public service announcement, which is spinach is amazing because it actually has more protein per calorie than beef or beans. So, I mean, obviously that doesn't have that many calories. So to get actually that same amount of spinach, you might need 14 cups of spinach. But as Chef Amanda always says, it wilts down, you hardly notice. So spinach, you don't want to have that be the only green leafy that you use because it has a lot of something called oxalate, which can be an issue for people with kidney stones and some other things. But do not fear the oxalate. If you're only every once in a while, having a cup or two of spinach a day, you'll be totally fine. And what I think is amazing is I know like some of you guys may not resonate with the Popeye, the sailor man sort of thing, but remember how Popeye always talked about like, he fights to the finish because he eats his spinach. It makes sense because there's so much protein and so much iron in spinach. And I feel like it's one of those green leafy vegetables that you can hide in anything. So make sure that spinach is a part of your life. And I'm so glad that Chef Amanda and Jen were talking about the frozen spinach because that's what we usually use. It's so much cheaper. We can throw it in anything and it just kind of dissolves. It gives you a lot of nutrients. So there you go from the spinach board.
Spinach, if you want to sponsor us, you're welcome. So, after literally a minute of cooking, the spinach is wilted and it has disappeared. You don't even know. You want to hide it for husbands or wives or kids alike, chop it thin. Nobody will notice. So that is pretty good and done cooking. At this point, we're just going to tackle our cilantro, jalapeno, onion, tomato pico. Now, there's two versions you can do with this. We included the version of chopping it. If you are lazy or tired, which I am often, you are welcome to put this just into a food processor. So all of these ingredients, instead of chopping it like a Pico de Gallo, you can quick pulse it through the food processor and make more of a salsa consistency, but the flavor is still awesome. So that will actually stay good in your fridge for up to 2 weeks. The acid helps balance it out. The salt. And I do it all the time because my tomato plants explode. So I love this, but I will show you how we chop our tomatoes. This is our tomato. I hope everybody's tomato looks slightly similar to this. I chop it like an apple, and that's not necessarily the way everyone does it, but I cut off the top because you don't need this centerpiece, and then you can cut around the core. You can, just so you know, use this core piece up to about half an inch down. And then you just slice into little nice diced pieces. And then we can easily throw it into our bowl. And I said I was gonna Rachel Ray this, so look at how quick I am. Ta-da, thanks to me. You can't see this part, but it is all chopped, all nice. So we're gonna throw those into the bowl. And then I'm gonna have Jen try out my fork trick for the line. Where's our second? It's hiding. So we'll see if she can do it without squirting herself in the eye with lime juice.
Way.
Oh, but now it's pointed at me. Don't squirt your partner in the eye with lime juice.
Oh, she's got a juice.
Oh, Debbie came in
Love
for
it.
hair. It's like, I don't need that fork trick. Now, the rest of the cilantro, you're welcome to use. More cilantro will really help with the flavors of this. Annie, I would suggest adding more lime juice or garlic or onion, but you may just enjoy it the way that it is. It's possible. And then we're going to talk about the jalapeno, because I hope none of you did it and then touched your eyeballs with it. Somebody did that in Kellen Kitchens the other day, and it was not a happy experience. So jalapenos are great if you want to add an extra spice. I had said in the email that if you wanted less spice, to take the seeds out. So the seeds are actually where most of the spice lives. So if you're looking for a milder taste, take the seeds out. If you're looking for a smokier taste, you can blister these on top of the stove and get like a charred flavor. And if you don't like spice at all, you can take it out. So it's totally up to you if you want to use this. And then if you wanted to add any extra flavors to this actual pico, do you want to hit this with a little bit of salt? We do something, I think it's called cowboy caviar. We call it our black bean salsa. But if you choose not to add the beans into your rice, you can always add your beans into your pico and then some corn. And it's a really hearty dip that you could eat almost by itself. I know Dr. Megan eats it by itself and with Triscuits very often. Hey, anybody have any questions at this point? Carl, you look very interested in this. Are you stirring? That's exactly what you're supposed to be doing. So we're gonna stir. We'll add our jalapenos in here, Jen, and then we're gonna add our onions. Again, if you're not big on raw onions, use as much or as little as you want. Then I'm gonna grab the corn out of the oven. So our corn has just come out of the oven. It's slightly brown around the edges. The herbs, the spices have really like caked on. The olive oil helps that. Again, if you're trying not to use olive oil, you can just put the spices straight on, roast it. It'll work very similarly, or you could always use tahini and that will have it stick as well. Okay, you have to try it and make sure.
I would love to.
At this point, pico, this is more so up to your preference. So I would grab a spoon and see if you feel like it needs more lime or more salt or more jalapenos.
Okay.
Are we happy? Okay.
Happy dance.
So I'm going to grab a bowl and show all of you how I assemble my burrito bowl, but please assemble in whatever form you want. If you want to use a tea mug, if you want to put in a burrito wrap, if you want to eat it out of the pan, I have no judgment there.
And guys, now that it's spring, it's time to start getting veggies ready. So fresh herbs are awesome. They're easy to grow and you can really taste the flavor difference when you use them. I swear once you start using fresh herbs, it's hard to go back.
I just actually planted mine today. And instead of flowers in my window boxes, I plant herbs. So I do all different types of herbs. So it's very easy for me to go outside. and pick them. And if anybody knows me, they know I love herbs because half my dogs are named after them. I have basil, nutmeg, and fennel. So I have an herb, a spice, and a vegetable. So we love fresh herbs and spices here. So I have a bowl. Oh, go ahead, Carl. And Debbie, what's up?
No, sorry. The other thing that's good in spring are those poppy seed lemon muffins.
Oh, should we
Sorry.
put those back
But-
on?
Sorry to interrupt you.
Honest to God, like,
We're
I
gonna-
can't
think-
control them, I'm sorry.
No,
Sorry.
I appreciate it. We don't have to tell Mike that we're gonna put them on the menu. We
Oh,
can
no,
surely-
I won't do that.
No. It's only a
No.
springtime thing for us cooking demo.
Yeah, no mic on this one.
So I have a bowl. I'm gonna show, this can easily give you 4 portions. It's actually a little bit more. I believe you said a serving of rice was a third of cup cooked.
Yep.
So a serving of brown rice is a third of cup cooked for a serving of whole grains.
Mhm.
So you will have at least 4.5 cups. So you can choose to measure it out or just put it as pretty as you can on the plate. So that's what I'm gonna tackle. So I put on the bottom my rice and black bean mixture. And then I'm gonna top it with my veggies. And then for color, we're gonna do a little bit of this corn that I slightly put all over the counter. And then I'm gonna top it with some pico. And for me, this is the stage that I have blue corn tortilla chips that I'm ready to tackle this with. Like I said, you're welcome to put this in tortillas. The corn tortillas, the soft, are gonna be healthier wise with fat and calories. If they're crispy, that's gonna add a little bit more fat. If you really wanna do the soft corn, the soft tortillas, I would try to go for a whole grain or a whole wheat, so you're getting that extra nutrients in there. So does anybody have any questions? Oh, I'm getting told to hold it up. Look at how pretty. I would love, and I think Jen would love, if anybody would like to share a picture of what they've
Yes.
created, we would love to see. I'm interested to see Tim's knife cuts. I would like to see how those turned out. So Adrian, you can send that over. Tim, you may start getting more shifts in Kellen Kitchens. Who knows?
Now he's gonna cut worse.
But I did want to highlight that this recipe is just a base recipe. So whatever veggies you have in the fridge, you can cook and have this in this bowl. So during the summer, I often add a lot of zucchini and mushrooms and things to this. Mushrooms always add a meatier flavor with more, I love them, taste. Megan Grega would like, the umami taste. If you have people that don't like mushrooms, I would cut them up really thin so they can't pay attention to them.
Yes.
You can do it with different grains. So if you're not big on brown rice, you can do it with quinoa. I do this often with quinoa. And you can really turn this into whatever your taste buds are looking for. Anybody have any questions for us? No. Jen, you want to wrap up with anything?
Yes, so if you didn't get a chance to watch the nutrition education videos, that's totally fine. We are gonna send out a post-event survey. So if you could watch the videos just prior to taking that, and then if you could take it by Sunday, that would be preferred. But if you guys have any questions additionally, please feel free to reach out to us after watching the videos as well.
And let us know if you want more of these things. We can
Yes.
always do little cooking things with boxes. But overall, super proud of you guys for cooking. I hope you enjoy your food. We are going to go eat. Dr. Megan Grega, would you like to come in? We hope you have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy your food. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
It was marvelous. Thank you.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Thank you.
Thanks, can't wait to eat it.
Here, it's awesome. So you guys are awesome.
I'm a few steps behind.
You got it. You just send a message if you need help. Okay, everyone, have a great Friday.
Yeah. See
Thank
ya.
you.
Thanks.
Thank you.